Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated for part 2 of the 2011 Goldenboy Awards. It's been a long road, full of trial and hardship, but for one of you, you rose to the challenge, completed every task set before you, and went where no other golden boy could go. And the name of that person is the first ever recipient of the Goldenboy Award in June 2011, Sam Carr. He's lean, he's mean, and he's 17. Ladies and gentlemen, our golden boy.
Yeah, that was a close one.
My internet's back.
For good.
We have Brad on a cell phone because his internet died. But
Yeah.
My internet's back now. If you want to quickly steer me to where the art's at, so we can go over each one for however long Comcast decides to keep me on the fucking leash for.
Should we re-Skype you, or do you want to keep going on the phone?
Well, I still can't interact with I can't interact with people on Skype, can I?
I don't know.
I mean, like, I can call your Skype name, but I don't know if your internet will cut out again.
All right. Yeah, if you could just dial me up just so I can bring up his stuff.
Oh, right. I get what you're saying. He just wants us to send him a message, Dan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just so I can click on the link and
Gotcha.
open his art up.
Gotcha. I'll send it in 2 seconds. I'm just gonna leave that picture of Sam up indefinitely. I'm just not gonna take it down. Are you in that? Is he still in the chat with us?
Sam?
Yeah. Brad. If I send the link,
I don't think so, no.
Yeah, I'm on the phone.
where do
Yeah,
I?
he's on the fucking telephone.
Where do I send the link?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, great interview.
I don't know how to send you a link if you're on the phone.
I don't
Hey,
know.
can you send it to me?
Yeah, I can do
I've
it.
got you up. I've got you up in Skype right now.
That's the link, Dave. I just sent it to you. So
All right.
send it to him.
Sorry, folks. Keystone Cops here, but no control over the internet. Well, I do, but I just don't feel like exercising it right now.
I'm gonna
This
throw up.
is how I flex my E-pain.
I'm sending it to you, motherfucker, email.
I'm gonna throw up Sam's sketchbook next to the giant picture of his face, so we can have a little taste of both.
Yeah, this is what we all decided that Sam was the best choice.
Yep.
The most passionate.
Sam did some of the most work. He did the most varied work. He was the only person who really did a lot of work from memory, which was crazy, which was awesome that he did that. It was just really well-rounded, lots of quality.
That's what I found real impressive is that his stuff from memory, because he draws so much. I'm assuming is that it was so strong, and he had very little cleanup work to do afterwards. I mean, and that's the great part about, hopefully he's doing it. But okay, sweet, Dave, thanks for sending that to me. That's ideally what you want to do is draw from memory as much as possible, draw from imagination, and then go back and correct it. Open this sucker up. Okay, cool. I got all his art right here now, so we can go over it. But yeah, man. I mean, he obviously, Sam, if you're there, you obviously want this really bad, and I don't know. I know that you're really young, man, so you got nothing to worry about. You're going to go places as long as you just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully your folks take you seriously, or whoever you're living with takes you seriously, and we'll give you the breathing room to be able to pursue this, because you've got the drive and heart for it, and that's something you're not going to learn from in school or from practice. The desire's got to be there, and that's innate. You can't dream that up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed looking through. There was a really good mix. I mean, just in the line work, there was a good mix of gesture stuff, polished stuff that was like action oriented. Right now the guy punching, the guy running forward. It wasn't just the same old person standing in 3/4, person standing with their arm out. There's a really good mix in each category that you submitted. There's a good mix of stuff.
Yep, fabric, trying to attack. You can see where you try to attack clothing, how clothing hangs on a body, the neck muscles. Looks like there's a lot of lower body work. I don't know whether that's a weakness of your stuff or not. Looking at your DeviantArt stuff, it doesn't seem like that full body is too much of a weakness for you. But I'm looking at this stripe of work here. Here it is. Yeah, the stuff that you did from memory, then having to clean it up. That's awesome. My only complaint, I don't even know if you want to call it a complaint, is I would love to see you take something to finish. There's a couple of things where I guess you could argue that look finished, but looking at the track record of completed work that you have in this post, is that I would, it's not, it's brought to like 3/4 finish, like that one there with the volcano. I forget that guy's name, Elron, and the Asian woman, I think, where she's on. I know that movie. I forget the hell what movie that's from, but I would love to see you finish those. You've got the determination, obviously. I'd love to see you just, bring those babies to finish, because this stuff looks great. If you're doing this kind of shit at 17 years old, fuck. I couldn't even comprehend the premise of fucking Pac-Man at 17 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's definitely good to see the determination.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, congratulations, Sam.
Yeah, this is great stuff, man. It's a great mix of all different kinds of stuff, and it's all really, really well executed. I think the biggest thing you should take away from this is that because of how old you are and because of how dedicated you already are, don't get discouraged, because you're going to be fine. Just keep this up, and you're totally going to be fine.
Yeah, just keep up the work ethic.
Yeah, you're on your way. It looks like you've got the. You've already got the drive. That's one of the biggest things, is the desire to sit there and log in the hours. Walk away from the stuff that distracts you, and bite the bullet and get down to this. So much of doing this professionally, and I assume you want to do it professionally, is problem solving. If you don't like problem solving, you're not going to like doing commercial art. So much of it is problem solving, being put in positions where you would never. You're pretty much out of your comfort zone a good 80 to 90% of the time. At least I am, anyways. But I love it. It's doing. I would never have dreamed of doing some of the stuff I've been asked to do on my own. And I'm one of those people where I thrive and love the pressure. Hopefully you like that. Hell, I put more pressure on myself than any deadline, really. But that's a good thing. But yeah, man, already, I can see you're doing a little, like with the Batman thing there. You're already doing little sequentials and things like that. And it looks like that little girl down there might be from memory, and these couple of these poses might be from memory. Just keep going, man. Keep tagging it. Keep getting it. Another thing I like too, it's not all naked ladies, like Dam's saying. It's the variance is great. The variance is great. You want to keep that because you're going to be asked to do a lot of different things. It looks like you're practicing the movie stills and stuff. That's excellent. I mean, because movie stills aren't. It's not just natural light. It's a lot of artificial light setups. We were talking about this before the show about making something look cool. I mean, it might not be accurate, but it'll look cool, and that's what a lot of movie lighting is like that. It's not designed to be completely true to life. It's designed to evoke an emotion or add to the drama. And that's what you want to do, And so you want to be able to. The more you understand the physics of light and form, the better. So copying movie stills is another great way to see how light interacts within itself and within an object too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but overall, Brad, were you impressed by the submissions?
Yeah, by Sam's.
No, just like in general over all the ones.
Yeah, really, I was really impressed by was it Sea Legs?
Mm-hmm.
Was that his screen name? I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah, that was his name.
Yeah, he did excellent. He did great work. I love to see him take it. He did a lot of finished stuff, which I didn't see a lot of through a lot of their portfolios. I would love to see a lot of the folks who entered take something to finish. I mean, quantity is great. You want to be prolific, of course, but I think you'd be. And also taking something to finish is like a whole different journey. I mean, I guess a lot of the tendency in fine art and being, I don't know, but this is what I hear. In fine art is that you don't want to over render stuff. You don't want to take it too far. You want to, less is more type thing. But you want to take stuff to finish because when you take stuff to finish, you might find yourself undoing some things. I do that all the time. I'll over-render something, and I'll have to scale it back. But taking something to finish is a whole different stage of image making, and it's fine to get stuff down. So you're basically getting it down and nailing the idea of the light and the basic light setup and all that. If you're doing painting, but you really want to take it to finish, especially imagination stuff from imagination. But yeah, I noticed that was kind of a trend through a lot of the portfolios. Was not taking stuff to finish, and a lot of naked ladies, a lot of waist up, naked ladies. I mean, who doesn't like that? I mean, everyone likes a great set of cans, lit to perfection. Everyone loves that shit. But I've never been asked to draw a naked woman ever in any commercial art that I've ever been asked to do. And we were talking about this before too. I seldomly ever draw women. It's usually a lot of monsters, environments, a lot of men, and you're asked to do a lot of that stuff. At least I'm not giving the women a lot, but they're never naked, So there's a lot of that. You want, there's a lot of ladies, not a lot of variants, a lot of waist up stuff. You really want to vary your palette. I mean, you want to get to the point where, we all want the subject matter to intrigue us, so we stay focused. That's why I draw naked women. You want the subject matter. But with image making, you want to get to the point where you want to study the content because you want it to be accurate, but you're not so engrossed in what the content is, so it keeps you interested. You want to stay interested because you want to make it look great and make it look right, or cool, or whatever your goal is. It comes to the point where you want to be able to depict space and shape rather than subject matter. You know, don't draw an eye or an arm or a finger. You know, you want to draw the space. You want to render the space that stuff occupies. So, you know, it's hard to, I mean, I'm fucking guilty, you know. That's all I used to ever do was naked ladies and stuff. And you can learn a lot doing that, trying to render a naked woman perfectly. You can learn a lot about how light works. But you need to be able to figure out how light works on other things, too. Yeah, taking stuff to finish and variants. Also, so I didn't see a lot of texture work either. People trying to get their materials down. I saw a lot of just chunky forms, which is great. But again, that comes back to taking it to finish. And that stuff can be a laborious pain in the ass sometimes. You know, you figure out, you know, why does a certain texture, why does something look the way it does? You know, that's where you start asking yourself questions like that. It's a lot of mental lifting, but you really want to practice it.
I've thrown some of Brad's work up on the screen, just for anybody who's wondering. So you have an idea. If you don't already know who Brad is, Crypt Crawler, his work's on the screen now.
Yep, Brad works for Magic the Gathering. He's worked on some Halo promotional work. He's worked on his body quite a bit. It's handsome, as we used to say.
Handsome Brad.
Yeah, totally ripped. You want to go to the DA? My DA gallery's got them. It's pretty comprehensive. There's a lot of older stuff. I'm gonna shit can.
Yeah,
in that gallery, but yeah, doing, you know, a lot of the time I'm imagination's good. I mean, most of the time I'm asked just to reimagine something that's been designed too. But you know, although I'm given a very loose concept, you know, a basic concept or maybe a pre-existing character that I have to follow. I get a lot of style sheets that I got to adhere to, and you still have to imagine, because you're asked to draw stuff that doesn't exist. So you have to be able to imagine it in 3D space. And I can't stress enough the value of that, of drawing from imagination. Yeah, it sucks because you're not seeing the instant gratification. It's a long process. You know, it's a muscle you got to work on. You don't see the instant feedback of whether you got it right or not because you don't know. You're drawing from imagination. You got to go out, and when you go to repair it, you know, you look at a piece of armor or something. Well, there's nothing that really looks like that, so you got to go and find an equivalent, and then reimagine it lit like that. It's a lot of work, but it is really going to be worth it, and a lot of problem solving like that. That doing light studies is not. I mean, it's going to help because it's going to help you. The more you do it, the more obviously you can understand light and form and all that stuff, perspective and composition. Yeah, the more you do, the more you draw from life and photos, it's going to help. But it becomes a point where it's a crutch, where you want to draw from imagination first, incorporating all the stuff that you've learned through practice. I can't stress the imagination part enough.
Yeah.
Let's see, looking through more Sam stuff.
And if you look at Brad's work, you'll see right away that Brad's stuff doesn't exist in real life.
Yeah.
But it looks very realistic. So it's like
I try to. I mean,
you understand.
I try to anyway. I don't hit the mark every time, but you know, the most recent Magic stuff I'm pretty happy with. You know, I feel like I've kind of gotten away from the plastic look that you can sometimes get pulled into. I know I was in the beginning. Still, it's hard with digital art, you know, and so I'm still learning a lot about textures and trying to make stuff look, you know, asking myself what makes something look real, you know. You kind of like, it's not so much looking real as that when you look at a piece of, these are my goals anyway. You know, you may have different goals. You may want your stuff to look more painterly or whatever. But my goal is to try and make it so you can sense it, so you can feel it there. So it looks like a three-dimensional object. I mean, those are my goals, is to make it try and look as real as possible. And sometimes, try to introduce a little bit of a painterly aspect, I guess, into what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But that's what I was talking about before with over-rendering and then pulling stuff out. Because now I'm kind of focusing on not only making something look real so you can sense it, but understanding how the eye sees. And when you look at something, your eye doesn't see all of it crisply sharpened at once. I mean, you can do a lot of those, gimmicky effects with the, blurs and sharpens, which I do all the time to enhance that effect and incorporate photographic effects like those kinds of blurs and sharpens and things like that. But a lot of that, I try and do by hand anyway, just so the effect's more pronounced. But yeah, I mean, work, just, practice as much as possible, but practice also imagination. You got to practice with that imagination and find your own voice, because, you see it all over the place where, you see the person's life drawing and practice stuff, and then you see their imagination work, and their imagination work is they're still heavily aping somebody else, which is okay. In the beginning, we all do that. We all hate somebody that we really love, and but you want to find your own voice, and that can be a pain in the ass too, because you're not going to see the results right away. And finding your voice is something that happens over a period of years too. That's the biggest pain in the nut with this whole thing, is the amount of time invested. You're not always going to see a return right away. Other people will see it before you do. Go ahead, you guys talk. I got some grapefruit juice here. I got to drink.
Well, as you can tell, if you haven't checked it out already, you can go to cryptcrawler.deviantart.com to look at the work if you're not watching this right now in the chat. And you go there, you look through his whole DeviantArt gallery, see what we're talking about. But yeah, I've definitely seen your work change. I mean, like, I remember, like, when you sent me one of your cards, you're losing a lot more, like, of the edges and all that in your work, and that's it really makes it pop more. It's really cool.
Thanks, man. I'm trying to. A lot of my older stuff is where, and I like to. Like, one of my biggest influences was Corbin, and he rendered stuff pretty tightly. And actually, when I go back and look at it, it's not really as tight as I remember it, but it's pretty tight. But yeah, I was very much in that trap of over rendering and getting too much of a artificial plastic, too hot with the highlights, too sharp with all the edges, and now, I mean, as I learn more about how the eye sees and photographic effects and movies and things like that, and just kind of like what we're used to looking at in terms of pop culture, I've changed my how I'm approaching stuff, and I like it. I've got a lot of comments lately that have said, are you intentionally trying to unfinish things, or it doesn't look as polished as your older stuff? I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but so I think the latest stuff looks really polished. But I see what they're talking about, is that I'm not, absolutely defining every single thing. I'm trying to stay focused on the hot spots. Mm. But
that makes it more effective, though.
I think so. I still render the crap out of everything, but I don't do it on a microscopic level anymore.
You don't zoom in all the way to, like, pores.
Well, I still do, but I intentionally leave some stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to narrow the focus. I got some feedback a couple of years ago that said something to that effect. It was from Carl Dobsky, Coro, a couple of those guys, and with Brogno's massive black guys. I was bouncing my work off of, and they said to try and focus. I've already had decent focus, but really, really focus, because then you could really, basically, they told me how I could focus more on bringing my stuff up to a 9 or 10 as opposed to just an 8 kind of thing, by really, really focusing on the content, like making sure the content, how to focus the content basically of what you're drawing.
Mm.
But I don't know. There's so much to learn. I mean, I'm still learning so much. I see the people who I love, and I look at them like, oh God, I'll never fucking draw that good. I feel that way when I see Michael Komark stuff, or a couple of amazing. I can't think of their names now, but like you see them on CG Hub. There's just such phenomenal fucking talent over there, and you're like, oh man, I'll never be that good. And but that's good. It's good to keep that hunger. But I look at their stuff and I'm like, God, I got so much to fucking learn. But I love it. I love it and hate it at the same time.
Are we taking questions from the chat, or do you want to?
Yeah. I was about to say that because people, like before when you were on here, and that live stream actually got erased. Yeah. So.
Did it really?
Yeah, that old one where we did the interview, it disappeared. Livestream.com erased it off my channel.
Don't we get the audio though?
You kidding? That sucks. That was ridiculous. There was a lot of ridiculous banter in that one.
Isn't there an MP3?
Somebody sent me the audio that they had captured from it, though. So
that was fucking sweet.
But,
okay, cool.
Yeah, we were going to take some questions from the chat from everybody who's here.
Or we can talk about some of the entrances of the Goldenboy thing, whatever. I mean, if some of the entries, people entering the contest who are in the chat want to talk about their art or their specific art, my fucking internet's back now. We can take a look at that stuff. It doesn't have to be all about. I prefer it to not be all about me, because you're just going to hear me say the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
About.
We got one question
that,
about.
So what?
Yeah, we got one question now about. Someone heard that you started your career in your 30s, and if you did, can you please explain your background and how you became successful?
Yes, people don't know yet.
Sure. I'm trying to encapsulate. I kind of started in my late 20s. I basically had kind of a lost decade there. As soon as I hit my teens, and fucking hormones took over. The music. I had some musician friends, and I saw all the girls that they got playing music. I was like, yeah, I totally want to do that, but I had no idea that you had to first kind of not be an asshole if you're going to attract the women. It was the asshole part that I hadn't worked out. So I spent like a good 10 years fucking around with music and playing in bands and all that shit. And some other things happened where long story short, I had a really big alcohol and drug problem and bottomed out basically in my late 20s. And I was actually living up in Boston, and I bailed on that and decided to get sober. And it wasn't until my late 20s that I really started refocusing back on my art. But in terms of background for art, I got kicked out of high school, so I didn't go to college. I didn't go to arts. I didn't even go to fucking art class in high school, and I didn't go to college. And I just basically, worked, the kind of jobs where it's like, hey, pick up that box and put it over there, where those other boxes are. That's the kind of jobs I had. And so my training in art was basically self-taught, and the stuff that you guys are doing in Daggers right now, that's kind of what I was doing, but I didn't know if that's what you're supposed to be doing. I knew I had to get better. And at the time, I was submitting my stuff to role-playing game companies like White Wolf and Eden Studios and stuff like that. This was back in the late 90s. And so I was doing a lot of interior pencil stuff. But I wanted to take it to the next level. I wanted to do color. I wanted to do what Frazetta and Corbin did, my heroes, Drew Struz and stuff like that. That's what I wanted to do. And so I'm trying to think now. That eventually led to I wanted to. I didn't have any exposure to a lot of this stuff, so I didn't know what I wanted. I knew I wanted to do art that looked 3D, but I wanted to be able to do it. So I figured, well, I should probably go learn 3D. So I went to one of those bullshit associate degree schools down in Florida, and of course failed miserably because there were kids in there. I went for 3D art, and there were kids in there working on this second fucking short film, and I was like, so how do you make a cube? You know?
Yeah.
That's basically where I was at there. So I failed miserably, but it was going to that school for like a couple of months where I got exposed to conceptart.org and started checking that stuff out and seeing the kind of digital art that was out there, and hearing how people had done it. And it was guys like me. They hadn't gone to school, or they were teaching themselves. And so I basically I read how they did it by doing studies, and I was like, okay, fuck it, I'm out of here. So I basically packed all my shit up, moved in with my folks, and just threw my ass off and started getting freelance jobs again. But really, I really sheltered myself. I moved around a lot. There's a lot of stuff that happened. I moved out to California, and then I moved down here in with my wife, and so I basically spent about 7 or 8 years straight up trying to skill building. Wasn't posting any of my stuff online, doing as much practicing from photos and movie stills. I couldn't afford models or anything, so I never did any fucking life studies or any shit like that. But I just had, we were talking about with Sam, I had the desire, I had to do it, I had to do this stuff. I'm one of those people where I gotta clock like 40, 50 hours a week, or else I want to stick a knife in my face. I have to draw, and I had to do this for a living. So that's basically my background. Is that I was just willing to forfeit and sacrifice other things like a social life and entertainment, to basically just work. When I would come home, I would draw, and to get to a point, that's really my background. It's just grueling grit, and you can still do it on that. You just have to have the desire.
Yeah. Someone wants to know, when you did start out, if you were new to Photoshop, and if you were, how did you go about learning the software? Because I think someone in the chat might be having trouble making that transition.
It's hard. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, I'm going to say that pretty much for everything. We're brought up now in an age, especially now with the internet. When I was growing up, I didn't have the internet. I'm 40. I didn't have the internet until like my late 20s. I was still, when I was submitting stuff for art, when I was doing interior art for White Wolf, it was like you had to haul your ass up to the FedEx and send it. You couldn't just upload it. So a lot of it was still very much DIY. But now we live kind of in a society and in an age now where the instant gratification thing is there. And the truth is, with a lot of this, it's pain. It's pain. It's failing over and over and over again, getting pissed off, getting frustrated, feeling like a dork and a loser, and not feeling like you can't get it as quickly as the next guy. But that's just not the truth, because the rate that we get information now is so much faster. And people do digest information quicker now, but I think it just seems like that because there are more people and you hear more about what those people do. So it may come across that people are picking the stuff up overnight. Stick with it. I had a hard time learning the software. I'm horrible. I was horrible with tech, with computers. I was just completely lost. I was a total retard with computers, and so I had to learn that and learn the software. And I was completely new to. I didn't pick up Photoshop until I guess it was really, really late 90s, like 98. And that's where I got Photoshop 7, and that's what I still use now. I haven't upgraded it. I'm still getting to know it. I'm still fucking getting to know it. And so, prepare for the, let the beatings begin is basically what I have to tell you. Find your way with it. I'm sure actually, now with the internet and going on YouTube, there's all kinds of ways for you to expedite your journey learning the stuff. That's kind of the beauty now of it, is that you can learn a lot quicker than you used to be able. There weren't any online guides or shit when I was doing it, so. And there's something to be said for that, but it is a long road,
Someone wants to know how you go about getting better at design, not in terms of painting, but in terms of how you're going to make your monsters, your costumes, your characters, your stuff look. What would you suggest for getting better at being a designer?
As a designer, that's a good question. A lot of the stuff I do for Magic, a lot of the commercial stuff is I get sheets, like for instance, the Mirrodin stuff.
Yeah.
Dave could tell you this too. You get style guides that you kind of have to adhere to. Not kind of, but you do. And I don't like the idea of getting a style guide or a concept from someone who's designed it and being like, I'm an artist with it. I'm a named artist. I can do it my way. I think that's bullshit. I think you should stick to how it was designed. That's what they want. That's why they made the fucking style guide to begin with, or the reference sheets. So a lot of the stuff I do, I didn't design. Things like, but on that token, though, I'm also given some leeway. For instance, like, I don't know, if you look at my gallery, I've got Nin the Paint Artist and Quicksilver Amulet. Those are my designs. I was given a very loose art notes. Like the Nin the Paint Artist, for instance, was like do a Vidalcan wizard, a female Vidalcan wizard, and the Quicksilver Amulet was do an elaborate piece of jewelry with giant monsters on it. Just make sure they're big, like dragons, demons, sea monsters, stuff like that. Was another one that was my design. Soul Conduit, that machinery there was my design, but the creatures that aren't, like the Vidalcan and the creature, the other creature that's tied up in the machinery, right, or being restrained by the Necrotech machine there wasn't designed by me. The half-living machine thing there that's kind of all over the piece there, kind of enveloping those two creatures is what the part I designed.
Gotcha.
And like the Scourge, Fault Scourge, I didn't design that. The Tormentor Exarch, that was based off of a concept. Urbrask the Hidden, that was based off a concept art. I wish I could say I know who did those two concepts, but I know that Richard Witters designed the War Priests for Apostle's Blessing, and designed there's a piece I have called Numbing Dose, where there's a guy who has a really big, nasty, gnarled needle, which Richard Witters designed that character, and I wanted to stay as faithful to the characters as I could. But when it comes to design, when I start off, there's a big element of randomness when I start off composing something, and I have a lot of I use a wet edge brush, and I use those to kind of compose my to create the fundamentals of my characters. And the cool thing about wet edge brushes is that it creates, like, you've got the value mark that the brush makes, but the brush mark itself has a line around it. It's very faint, but it still creates a lot of, and I do a lot of scribbling, and I use texture brushes. I don't use like a hard round brush for everything. I use a lot of texture brushes with wet edges, so you get a lot of stuff that you can kind of exploit. Like, you'll get shapes that come out and say, well, maybe I'll turn that into a necklace. That's how Nin's necklace got started. It was just some shapes that had come off from the marks that I had made. I like to do that because then if it's up to me to design something, it's probably going to come out pretty lame. So I kind of rely on a little bit of element of randomness, but sometimes I'll have an idea of what I want. But a lot of the times I go into it blind and I just try and keep my mind open. That's basically the premises that I use to design stuff. Is see where the direction of the painting's going, and try and exploit things that kind of arise out of it. That's how I do all my backgrounds. You know, I mean, I'll know, like, okay, I want some mountains here. I put down the values, but I use texture brushes so things pop out and say, okay, well that looks like a ledge, or that looks like it could be a plant, or this might look like a body of water or something. But when it comes to it's very often that I have a very strong idea of something I want to design. So if you're like me, I don't think designing is my strong suit. I feel like I would much prefer to render out something that was already designed and try and make it look real, or if they want, let me put a little bit of a spin on it. But I would say for just something that you can take home with you in terms of improving your design, I would say keep your mind open and look at shapes, not necessarily objects. I'm trying to find a way that I can describe this without sounding like an art house fucking moron. So I kind of want to sound like just a fucking gallery tool. Well, you want to look for this, and I'm just trying to find a very practical way that you can something you can take home with you is when you're putting down lines, a lot of arbitrary lines and whatever when you're building up your piece. Just try and keep your mind open. So what does that shape look like? Look at what you're doing, instead of trying to make it into something you want, like that you have an idea of. Look at what you have down first, and say, what does that really look like? And that's a good way to kind of monitor yourself too. Like if you're fucking up, try and see your stuff for what it is rather than how you want it to look. So I don't know. That might not be the best advice when it comes to design, but
it works.
Keeping an open mind.
The next question is, actually, I wondered this for a while too. Do you work on personal work when you're not doing wizard stuff, and what kind of stuff do you do on your own, or do you want to do on your own eventually?
Thankfully, I haven't had a whole lot of time to work on personal work. I like doing commercial work a lot. I want to do personal stuff, but I struggle a lot when it's my own stuff. I find my head's kind of empty when I get a little, I guess I had about 3 or 4 days in between assignments. And I said, I'm going to work on my own stuff. And I just sat there and fucking floundered and shoved a Wacom up my ass for 3 days. I couldn't come up with anything. Or I did, and I struggled to get it down. But that happens a lot. That's good. And that's a good thing. It sucks and it's frustrating when it's happening. But there's something that's taking place there. I think it's really, really good too. If you're busy, you're in the business and you're doing stuff, is to get frustrated. That's how you learn. I don't want to fucking be a master. I mean, I love the compliments when people say, "Dude, you're a master. Dude, you're a master." I mean, that's a great compliment, and it really is great to hear. But fuck that. I don't want to fucking be a master. Masters don't learn anything after that. Mm-hmm. And you find out so much about yourself doing this. And when I do my own stuff, I'm like, fuck, I'm totally dry as a bone on an idea, or I have an idea and I'm struggling to get it down. It's weird. It's kind of something that's never really happened to me. Ideas seem to become pretty fluid. But lately, when I've had but it's been a long time, too. I think maybe that's a muscle, too. coming up with your own content. I guess the other angle of getting a lot of commercial work is that you don't. I guess you may not have to think as much, maybe because they have specific things that they want in it. So maybe I'm just out of practice in terms of coming up with my own ideas. But I did come up with something, and I started working on it. And I worked on fantasy. It's kind of like, I don't know, I tend to do horror. I tend to go into horror and sci-fi a lot. Those are just the kind of things I love. What I eventually want to do is I have an idea for a graphic novel that I want to do. I have the loose story for it, and it's just a matter of, it's something I'll do down the road.
That's awesome.
I would love to put out a graphic novel. That's one of my goals, and to have it look, to keep the same level of quality that I like to try and give my commercial stuff. Modern day horror. I have some stuff. It's on my DA site. There's a little folder down there at the bottom it's called The Human Condition. You can go click on it. You can see some of the concept work I've been doing for it.
I see. Someone would like to know, of course, if you are still using the famous smudge brush technique.
Yes. Yeah. All that stuff I do is smudge. It's all smudge brush. Set it between 60 and 80 something percent, and I basically push everything into place. But I do it at 300-400%. I also work at a really, really high DPI, like 550 or 600 DPI, and it's all smudge brush, and then going over it with textures, and going and smudging some other stuff. It's all not all smudge brush like it used to be, but it still is. On a basic level, I'll smudge everything into place, and go over it with textures and refine it. I use a lot of really tiny brushes at a really high magnification and kind of pack it into place.
I hope I'm...
Brad.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just saying hello.
Oh. Someone had a question. I hope I phrased this right. When you have a good drawing and the subject is focused in, do you establish the lighting based off the needs of the subject in the painting, or do you set some lights basically in the background or whatever, and then work the light in based off that? I guess does the focus of the piece decide where the lights go, or do you just add lights?
I just add lights. I try and like movie stills are a big inspiration for me. I love movie stills because you're getting this fragment of time in a story, and whatever's being photographed for the movie still is they're trying to capture the drama. It's lit. The characters have their intent, and it's very focused, and it's for a story, and it when you look at a movie still. It's a fragment of a story. That's why I find them in and of themselves awesome, even if I don't know what the movie's for, because they tell a story. I've always loved those. And so the inspiration I get for lighting is I'll go to my movie still collection, and I'll look at them like, oh, I love that lighting. And and I'll look at it for inspiration. The thing is that usually 9 times out of 10 is that the subject matter has nothing to do with what I'm painting. I just like the light, and I want to try and use it. For instance, like the Soul Conduit, the lighting I use from there is from what do you call it? It's from a screen capture of an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. I don't even know the name of the fucking movie. I think it was Commando. I think it was Commando, yeah. And I like the lighting in it. But there's no beefy guy in there holding a weapon or anything like that. It just had this really cool atmosphere to the movie still. And I was like, oh yeah, I want to capture that mood. And then I think about once the light sources are in there, that's usually what I'll do, is that when I'll start off, it'll be very loose, very blocky. I'll get the very basic light where I want the light sources, and then I'll start drawing. Sometimes I'll base it off of a couple photos. I kind of do the Rockwell approach, where I'm like, okay, I need a nose in this position. I'll go find a nose, or I need an ear. It's rarely a whole piece. I'll take I'll go and I'll collect a bunch of things that I need to look at. And I'll, it's for accuracy. After I've, whipped the whole thing up through imagination. But yeah, basically I establish the lights first, and then the subject matter. And the lighting rules, as you can see in my stuff, it's not exactly top down, single light source. I don't really like that. I mean, I'm doing some of that now, and it feels new and refreshing. But I like several different light sources. I like backlighting and rim lighting, stuff like that. And you find a lot of that in the movies when they don't even give a character presence. That's what a lot of lighting's for. So I look to movie stills to really help me with that.
Someone would like to know what you do for fun besides drawing.
I draw.
Cool. They were like, what does Brad do for fun? Does Brad play video games? And I assumed no.
No.
Yeah.
I will once in a while. But really, I all my times with drawing. I mean, that's what I love to do. I got to a position where I was like, do I want to play them, or do I want to do the art form? And decided I want to do the art form. But I mean, I'll kick back and play a game once in a while. Lately, I've fucked around with Rift a little bit. That's an MMO. Some online little MMO game. I've fucked around with that once a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it but I'm doing it. It's kind of like work research.
Yeah.
Because I want to play it to get inspired. I get inspired by games too. So believe it or not, when I'm fucking around and playing it, I'm looking at how they did this, or I'm looking at what makes it look 3D, or I'm studying it too. I don't know, how I have fun is not really I guess what you consider to be kickback entertainment. I'd rather draw, and I mean, I'll play something once. I'll play it a couple times and be like, I'd just rather be drawing. I don't like how it feels. It's very hard for me to kick back and relax and enjoy something without thinking about drawing, because I want to stay on my game. But that's my hobbies are pretty much drawing, and I'll dig around with the game here and there.
Gotcha. Someone would like to know if there's a specific movie you love pulling stills from, or like really influenced how you want to light things and compose scenes. Is there one central movie that really did it for you?
Yeah, I'd say Blade Runner.
Cool.
I think the lighting in Blade Runner is awesome. Blade Runner and Alien, really. They're both the same director, so they're around the same time. 79, 80 was Ridley Scott, and lighting he did in those really, really atmospheric. I mean, the atmosphere in Alien is, you can taste it, and the same thing with Blade Runner. Just absolutely stunning lighting. You don't see lighting like that today, I'd have to say Blade Runner and Alien. Go back and watch those movies, and I don't know how many times I've watched them, and I still see something new. I mean, I'll watch them and not even listen to the dialogue or what's going on. I'll look at how the computer terminal is lighting up the keyboard, and or how it's lighting up the character. Just look at how the lighting was arranged. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful, man. Beautiful. And the way he used the light to enhance the scene, like the chest burster scene, it's like top-down operating. It's like a very strong top-down operating table light. And so when it looks like he's got like a patient struggling on a table, and everything's really white and clinical and clean.
Yeah.
So when that thing comes bursting out, there's blood all over the place, and it looks really clinical. It's a very clinical-looking environment, and so it adds to the visceral effect of that scene. Or when they're going, or when they just land on LV, I think it's LV 746. I forget what it is. Anyway, they land on it. They find that they hear the distress beacon when they're on the way home, and the corporation wants them to go check it out. And they're bitching about the contracts and all that stuff. They never watched the movie, but they go and they land, they go check out where the distress call is coming from, and they find an alien ship anyway, when you first see the ship, it's backlit, and it's on a crappy little terminal. And the effect is so profound. Instead of showing it this huge grand thing, you see it on this little terminal, like a camera seeing it, but it's backlit. And it's just so potent. The mystery of this crashed spacecraft that's been there for God knows how long, because they go inside and everything's calcified. Like it's got it's like stalactite drippings. It's been there for so long, and just stuff like that. It really was really impactful.
Yeah.
So if you check out those movies.
As you talk about Blade Runner and Alien, I threw up your image stopping for directions because that always reminded me of Blade Runner.
Yeah, that's kind of Blade Runner-ish. I guess there was a couple street scenes that were kind of Blade Runner-ish. I would have done things differently a little bit. And this one came out right. It's pretty old, but it came out pretty good. Yeah, that's very Blade Runner influenced. You know, the leather jacket and everything's wet and it's it's a very decayed, very used urban environment.
Yeah. We have a question from Sam, our current Golden Boy. He'd like to know what your schedule is like on a normal day.
Normal day is it depends, because I have two schedules. My wife is a speech pathologist at the school, so she has summers off. But during the school year, I'm daddy daycare, so I watch our daughter during the day, and then at night she comes home and work on my contracts. So during the school year, I'm working between like 5, 6 o'clock to about midnight or 1. So I don't sleep very much, but I do get a decent amount of drawing done. So during the school year, it's about 40. Baseline minimum I get is 40. But a standard drawing week is I get about 50 to 60 hours drawing. And during the summer, it's wake up and draw. So I love that shit. So I'm clocking 10, 12 hours a day. I spend all my time drawing. Wake up and fucking draw. Shit, eat, draw. Shit, shower, draw. That kind of thing. So I do as much as I can. So on a fundamental level, you want to get the minimum amount of time you want to draw a week is 40 hours. You want this to be a full-time thing, and you can still get that on a job. You know, I wake up at 6 a.m., and my wife comes home at 4. I take a shower, and I'm drawing. I draw till 1. You know, still get a work week of art. It's like, how bad do you want it? You know, it's gonna suck. It's gonna hurt, but if you want it bad enough, you'll do it. But that's a typical schedule for me.
Cool. Looking to see if there's more questions. Looking to see. Someone would like to know if there's a specific book on art that you would recommend above any other.
I don't really have any art books.
Yeah.
I've got one from the 50s called Pex Anatomy. Let's see where the fuck. I think it's in the bathroom here. No, it's not in the bathroom. It's usually in the bathroom. I'll look at it, but it's all illustrated. But it's a guy who did medical illustrations a lot in the 50s, and it's called Pex. Where the fuck is it? I don't know. It's around here somewhere. I don't really have an art book that I looked at. I can't give you the name, but look up Pex. Look like Pex Anatomy. It's an old book. It gives a good breakdown. That's the only one I've come across, and I found it. So I didn't go out and seek it.
Somebody would They're wondering if you juggle projects or if you totally finish one before you move on to the next one.
I finish one and move on to the next.
Okay.
I don't double up on projects. A lot of people. See, that's the thing is that there's a lot of rhetoric out there about being fast, taking on a lot of work. That's not my goal. My goal is to produce the best art I can. And doing it fast, this isn't it's not a fucking sport, And if it means that I don't make as much money, well, then that's what it means, Because what I'm going to leave behind is a legacy of art. And I don't mean anybody who illustrates or paints is going to leave behind a legacy, no matter how bad or good it is. You're just going to leave a body of work behind, and I want the body of work to be the best it can be. Now, obviously, you get the pitches where you're given a lot. Like, I'll get a big assignment. Like, I'll get the biggest. I got 5 cards, and that was a lot. Or I'll get like the Planeswalker piece. That was massive. The Bungie stuff. The Bungie stuff was ridiculous because they wanted it in 4 or 5 days, and that was just fucking over the top. I mean, you're going to get the positions where you're going to have to cut some corners here and there, but I don't set my schedule up so I have to cut corners to do a lot of work. I'll take on the amount that I think I can do and produce as best quality as I can. So that's what I do. You're probably going to hear a lot of, don't do that, don't do what that guy does, be quick, don't over-render, and that's not what I do. I'm slow, I render. That's what I do.
Cool. We've been on here for a couple hours. I don't know, how much longer do you guys want to go?
I could go, first, as long as there's questions, I'll try and answer as many questions as I want. People want to talk about their art, want me to go look at something, and I can't stay on for too long, but I at least want to, I want people to get bang for their buck,
Well, Brad, I love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if there's more questions, sure, I'll go for a little bit longer.
So it doesn't mean anything.
Someone wants to know what your biggest motivation is as an illustrator personally.
Good question. That's a great question. That is my personal motivation is to create the best work that I'm capable of creating, and to always put myself in a position where I raise that bar if I can. So I guess fear is a big motivator. I don't want to do this and fuck it up and not do my best. Probably fear of not doing my best is a good motivator. Fear of not being able to hang in with my peers. There's a lot of people do what I do, and there's a lot of fucking phenomenal artists out there. And there's a lot of days where I don't feel like I'm anywhere near the same league that they are. And those are all good feelings that eventually, ultimately, they help keep me motivated. But all the things that motivate me aren't necessarily good. They're fear or, fear of failure. But as I become more comfortable in my own skin and, with the skills that I was born with, and also that I mostly worked hard to sharpen, because, this is like 5% talent and 95% hard work. I'm motivated by different things. I just want to, I want to produce the best that I can. My goals now are to create cinematic. I want my pieces to be cinematic, even if it's like, for instance, like the Quicksilver amulet. I guess I could have looked at that and been like, I'll just do some piece of crap sitting there, you know. But I wanted the item to look cinematic. I wanted it to look like it belonged out of a movie, you know, like somebody was picking it up and you were getting a close in on it, and it was something that was very relevant. And so I want to create cinematic experience with my art and try and keep it as three-dimensional as possible. So that's what motivates me. It's just to produce the most real kind of cinematic experience that I possibly can in 2D.
Someone would like to know, when you were finding your voice and working to get to a professional level, did you make a compromise between what you wanted to do and what you would like to see in an image versus what you thought would sell and what would pay the bills?
What I thought would sell and pay the bills never entered into the equation. What I'm drawing now is what I wanted to draw. And when I was finding my voice, there's what you like to look at, and then there's what you draw. Sometimes they're not the same. There's a lot of artists that I love to look at, but it's not what I draw. There's a lot of guys who are very painterly. I used to poo-poo them a lot, like Craig Mullins. I used to poo-poo Craig Mullins all the time. But now that I've learned more about art and time's gone on, I love his work. And I've tried to do pieces. So I wonder how he gets that. I've studied a couple of his pieces and kind of duplicate what he can. I can't do it. It's not what comes out of me. I'm sure I could do it with practice, and if I sat there and wanted to get every single thing. But there's what you like to look at, and there's what you like, and then there's what you produce. So I made the decision of where my strengths were, and ran with them, and tried to, and still do try and make them be the best that I can. Find what you're good at, and if what you're really good at is not something you really care for, and believe me, that can happen. You can be really good at drawing stuff. You can be really good at portraits, but you don't like portraits. But you might be really good at it. It's trying to find something that you really like within what you're really good at. But no, I've never made a conscious decision to what was going to pay the bills. I just kind of this is what I want to do. Gee, I hope it pays the bills. That's kind of always been my outlook, and still is. But luckily, it pays the bills.
Yeah, I think that's what it should be, though.
What is it?
I was saying that's what it should be, though, because if you're not doing that, then what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you don't want to do that, because really what you're doing, if you get into a position, in other words, don't get yourself into a position where you got to choose between what you want to do and paying the bills. Choose what you want to do and try and cover as many bills as you can. You don't want that other life. I've lived that other life, not with art, but with other things. And you don't want that trade-off. It's a hollow trade-off. Trust me.
Somebody would like to know, when you're starting an image, do you slowly try to build up the forms, or do you try to map out the exact color and value in large shapes from the get-go?
Large shapes. That's what I start off in the environment. Large textural shapes, and I'll have a rough idea where I want things, and I'll just put really big blocky shapes in there, and then I'll go in and cut them out. It's kind of like sculpture. It's kind of like to throw a bunch of shit up against the wall and see what sticks. Kind of plan of attack. But yeah, I'll lay down very big, basic things and then build it as I go.
Yeah, Brad. How you been doing? It's so good. It's so good to hear your voice again.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, man. Man. It's good to be here. It's good to do this. I wish I could hear other people and I could see them. I wish it was kind of a text chat type form like we did last time. We saw people writing notes and stuff like that. It was funny. But this is just as good too. It's been a long time since I've been able to shoot the shit in a theater like this, especially with guys I love like you salty bastard.
That's me. Yeah.
But
what have you been doing? What have you been doing? Did you get back into doing a lot of cards and stuff?
I'm not doing cards right now. I'm working on something top secret advertising stuff. So I'm excited about it. It's for Magic. I can say that, and I can say that it's top secret advertising stuff. But that's what I'm working on right now. But I've just wrapped up a couple cards not too long ago, and I love doing the cards, but I find I really love doing the big stuff. It's really challenging, and I find that the smaller the constraints are, the harsher the parameters. Like we need it like this. It's got to be like that. It can't have this. I find that the smaller wiggle room I have is that the more challenging and enjoyable it is. It's really fucking weird. But I like being given a small amount of space and trying to do something compelling with restricted parameters. It's fun.
You're a dangerous man.
But, yeah. What about you? What are you working on?
Just some band stuff, and I've been doing the turtle stuff still, trying to finish all that.
Awesome. The turtle stuff is fucking sweet. I love to see it. I love to see the reaction for it, too.
Thanks.
That's the best part, Talk about that a lot. I'm able to find some time to get to some of the great comments that I get. It's reactions. You can't. You love it. I mean, it's like you're just doing pretty picture, and you get people like, oh, dude, I love this, and I love it. I love the fucking reaction. It's better than getting a paycheck. It's like 10 zillion times better than getting a paycheck.
Yeah, it's like being alone in a room forever and being the only one who really sees it, and then putting it out, and then you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's the first form of payment we get. That's the first form of payment we get is, oh man, I really like this, and especially when it inspires somebody or they make up a little story for it. I love that shit. Because that's what did it for me. Just looking at Frazetta and Corbin stuff and being like, man, I wonder what the world's like that they live in, and when Frazetta did something, he would transport you to the world. He was so good at giving you a taste of what the rest of the world was like, and obviously a lot of the worlds are dark and dangerous and violent and filled with topless women. And I always stick out my imagination, just the magic of it, thinking about that stuff. That's what's so great about this whole thing is the inspiration's a two-way street, And they tell me how much they like this stuff, and it just makes me want to try even harder. It's great. It's just constant fuel, man.
Somebody would like to know if there's any way to get the audio from the original interview with Brad. We accept all major credit cards. You can send PayPal money to Handsome Brad 69.
We don't. It doesn't even have to be that. You can send us nudes.
Yeah, we'll trade for nudes.
I don't want to see them. If I hear about them, that they got them, then that's cool with me.
Yeah.
I believe it. I don't need to see them.
You'll say that on here. Wait till you see them.
It's going to be some good stuff. Somebody would like to know, Brad, when you started looking for jobs, how did you approach potential clients? And where did you look for those jobs?
In the early days, I would just look in the books and say art director such and such, and I could get a hold of the number or the address of the place, and I would do a bunch of art and send it to them. Like what I did for White Wolf. I think it was Rich Thomas was the art director there, and architects. There's Eileen Miles and Rich Thomas, or Aileen Miles. I don't know. They're at the time they were two art directors. Aileen, I don't think really liked my shit too much. She never gave me a job, and but Rich Thomas gave me jobs. But yeah, I sent it to him, and that's how back then. But I mean, now you could probably just Google people, or just Google, it's art director, whatever, blah 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 company.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to get some of them, but
it's hard to get some of them, obviously, because there's so many people now online that they must get inundated.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I would Google and Google the art director for such and such company and try and investigate.
Yeah, I can say one good way. I was just gonna say one good way to do it that I found is like Twitter is such an instant way of communicating with those kind of people that it's like, since it is such a short message, you can like instantly contact people through Twitter. That's the way I've gotten through to a couple comic book editors that I could not find anywhere. So, yeah.
Well, no shit. I also going to cons too is a great way. Obviously, that's a big money and time investment to travel and go to cons, especially if you're overseas, because a lot of the cons are here. So that can be difficult. So if you're just online, I've also heard LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a good thing to use. Pop on and look up art directors and stuff like that there. I don't know. Thankfully, I haven't had to do that for a while, but I hated it when I had to. Another good is to be active, especially if you can, on the forums and things like that. You like an artist a lot. Say, hey, would you try maybe check my stuff out? And if they think you're good enough or whatever, they'll provide you with the art director name or hound them for it. But I mean that's probably the end game, of making friends. Just going out and talking to each other and saying, hey, I really like your stuff, and just kind of getting your presence out there is a really good way to get jobs. I got a lot of offers that way. Bungie sought me out, but that's kind of what I did. I just put stuff out there because I was a total retard when it came to doing that part of it. Shit, I hit Dave up, I think, for not too long ago about who do I get? Who should I go talk to? Do you have this guy's name? And Dave hooked me up with a bunch of art director names, and just from getting to know him and putting the presence out there. It can be tough. I hate that part of it. I hate the whole business end of it. But that's a job in itself. That whole part of the fucking gig.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
You do. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. It comes with the territory. It's part of the thing, and it's like if you start getting your shit out there and you get rejected, find out why. Say, what do you think I can improve on? Maybe you'll get some feedback. When I first started getting shit out there, my stuff was, my friends thought it was all good enough, and I thought it was good enough. But, when I bounced it off of the art directors, like the very first one I sent in was to Shadowrun, and I forget who the fuck was publishing Shadowrun at the time. God, I can't remember. Anyway, I sent it in, and the guy just tore my crap apart, as he should have. He was a dick about it. Like, he could have been a little nicer. And I'm pretty thick-skinned, but this guy was like, yeah, I don't really know what you're thinking like that. That's just bad. That's just bad draftsmanship right there. He was just being a real dick. It was shitty dick critique. It wasn't, it was like, this looks stupid, that's wrong. It wasn't like, this really, you could try better on this. I could settle for even like kind of a dick, but this guy was like full out asshole. Anyway, that's critiques. That's a whole other different topic. But talking to people like that kind of gave me an idea also of what real critiques are like, and which ones are just designed to hurt you, to kind of build themselves up. Or for whatever fucking reason you would give a hurtful critique. I'm not really sure why you'd want to do that, but anyway, I got a couple really quality critiques. Like the critique I actually got from Aileen Miles at White Wolf. She was very helpful. She was just kind of like, well, do you use photos? Do you look at photos at all? I was like, no. She said, well, that'll probably help. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And she was right. The minute, there's just little stuff like that. The littlest things, changing the littlest things will help. But,
Someone had asked a while ago. I'm actually down for this. If you would be willing to post all of your old artwork, I guess, from your Massive Black video. I guess you showed like your really, really, really old stuff.
Oh God!
You should put it online.
No.
You're good enough now. You're good enough now that you don't have to feel bad about it. So just get it out there.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of like airing a. It's like, okay, look, we know you shit your pants. Just
you know what you should do?
Just show it.
It's like if you had been like morbidly obese and now you're like really, really ripped. Like you're gonna show everybody those old photos and be like, look what I accomplished. It's the same thing. So show us your fat. Show us your fat photos.
Just show the size 48s and be done with it.
Exactly. We can't appreciate your body until you show us what it used to be.
Maybe I will. I might post the very first. I thought about doing that. It's like kind of posting it at once, like a big kind of like, here's my crap bomb from like however long ago. I might do that. I don't really have a desire to.
Well,
we did
I
that.
don't really have a desire.
Think about it from our perspective. It's like we're reading the last chapter of the Odyssey. Like we have no context.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
that's
just
true.
saying, we did that with Trevor Claxton.
Yes, we
thought,
did.
like,
We all showed our first things we ever did, and it was like the best stream we've ever done.
It was so
It
stupid.
was just tons of laughs.
Yeah.
Mm.
I might. I have to dig that stuff out. Sadly, a lot of that crap is stuff I got to scan. It's just so old. The really juicy crap is stuff I got to scan. Like the very first one that I did wasn't digital. I mean, that wasn't digital. I scanned that shit in. So it's a matter. It's more than simply just posting it. I got to go and scan it and resize it.
Find it.
Yeah, find it. And fucking, I don't know if I like going through all that shit, but I probably will at some point.
Okay.
I got a couple good losers still stashed away that I might bring up. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I guess I show it just for context.
Just for laughs.
But,
just for smiles.
I think it just motivates everybody else, though.
Yeah, because
just for shit.
right now, like, if they look at your DeviantArt right now, they're just like, oh, he's always been awesome. Like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. There's so much I see in my work now where I'm like, that really, I really like to take that down because it's really not awesome. So, I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, though. That's a good idea.
I'm just being selfish. It's just me
I
being
want to post
selfish.
more process stuff, just because I would love for. I've been meaning to do that because I don't save it, but I would love for people to see I want them to see the process shots for something completely, because it starts out as such slop. It's just pure slop when my stuff starts out. And to have them see it, because that'll probably give people more an idea of it's about the time investment. And I don't know if any people have ever been to the Fuck Yeah Art Student Out. Any you guys been to that site yet?
Yeah.
It's a Tumblr site. Oh my god, the shit is so fucking funny. I've got a link for it actually on my front DA page. Anyway, it's like one of those meme sites, or meme, or whatever the fuck you call it. It's like, they're like the demotivational things. They're like just little sayings with a face on it, and it's, they're all, ironic and sad and funny. But anyway, it's about art school, and it's about just the process and pain and fucking, agony of defeat and thrill of victory that this whole art business is all about. Illustration business without being involved in it. And there's this fucking hysterical one. At the top it says artistic process, and at the bottom it says crying, sweating, shitting blood. And that pretty much sums up the artistic process. And you go around and you look at all these great things that all these artists do, like, oh my God, they're a god. Everything they do is awesome. I guarantee you it's not. I guarantee you that they have plenty of weeks, maybe even days or maybe even a month, where they're slamming their head against the wall because something isn't working right. It's the same struggle from when you begin to when you end. It's just at different levels. It's the same struggle. It's trying to, it's like, it's learning how to do magic, trying to make the unreal real, to make the imagination, to bring it to the front, and hopefully give somebody that experience that you want when you look at when you see something. But it's the same, man. It's so much of this is just such. It's like watching sports or whatever. People do incredible things with their bodies. You're like, God, they make it look so fucking easy. I could do that. And you go in your backyard and you break your ass trying to do it. That's exactly what it is. It's just pain, grueling pain. I get weird, but it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what the Daggers is all about, though. Everybody's going through that pain together right now.
It's a painful journey.
You're not alone. It can be really tough on some days. You're really depressed. Really feel like you're going nowhere. You're not seeing any returns on all your effort. Those days, God, I remember those are horrible. It fucking shit feels horrible where you feel like you're just destined to lose and you're not going to be a player in this thing at all. Trust me, we all feel like that. And it might not make it easier when you're going through it, but if you're going to listen to anything I said, when I sit here flapping my lips for as long as I have, just realize that you are not alone in your struggle and in how you feel. It feels that way, but you're not. It's what's important is on the other side of that. You're going to fall down constantly with this whole thing. You're going to constantly fall down and fail, sometimes in front of everybody. And but it doesn't matter. What matters is that if you get back up and if you try harder, because you will overcome it. It just doesn't feel like it when you're going through it. It feels insurmountable, like the kind of skills that you want are like in another universe, light years away. You can get them. You just got to suffer for it. That's what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm. That was beautiful, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the truth, man. It's just the truth. I look at guys who I think are complete gods. Hey, baby, give me a kiss. You are. Give me a kiss. Oh.
That
Mom's in
sounds
the next
beautiful.
room. She's in the living room. She's sweet. She's going to be 3 soon, if you can believe that.
Crazy.
My son is going to arrive probably a month and a half here. He's going to land. We got double trouble. Both barrels.
I didn't know.
I could be your son.
Huh?
I could be your son.
I'm pretty old. I'm not that fucking old.
But I love you more than
It's true.
But what else? What else we got on deck here?
I'm looking.
Sam has a question.
Questions.
Is all of your art time spent on your commercial work, or do you still find time to study to keep your work hot?
I do that at the same time, really, as I'm working. Because I constantly got a job now, which is great. I'm incredibly thankful for it. I love it. I can't stand downtime. It drives me nuts. So I try and incorporate my studies into my work. When I want a certain lighting arrangement, because I spend, each piece that you see, minimum is 100 hours I spend on it, minimum. I spend a long time on each piece, and I'll do my light studies in that. If it's like a mountain or it could be any object. Because so often I got to try and find an object that is close to what I'm drawing, because what I'm drawing doesn't exist. And it can be a real fucking pain in the ass. But it helps you, it exercises your mind, it gets you reimagining things. And, I'll have to look at a car part, like lit a certain way, to get a piece of armor, or look up movie creature or something like that to get an idea. But it's never to straight up copy something. I can't stand that. I can't stand like making brushes out of photos and saying you hand drew it. I'm sorry, people do that and they get mad at me because I say I think that's cheating. I'm sorry, that's too bad. I just think that's cheating. Like, you look at these great clouds I did. It's like, dude, you cut out a fucking photo and made a brush out of it. Like, I'm sorry, that's not art in my opinion. But it saves time. It's digital media, but it's not art. You're not really using your brain on that one. But yeah, I incorporate my studies when I'm working.
I'm looking here. Does anyone have any really good questions for Brad before we wrap this up?
I'm just glad that they have any questions at all.
They do. You're like an artifact or something. Some magic relic.
I'm just glad that they're interested, I'm glad that they get this shit, that they think I'm relevant enough, where they think I might be able to help them out with something. Just that alone is like, it's fucking awesome, man. I can't show enough, I don't know how to show enough appreciation without it sounding phony or overly flowering. It's just, to have people interested in what I do is like, it's fucking awesome, man. It's like, wow, I'm worthy of this shit,
Yeah.
It still shocks me that anybody it just shocks me.
They'd like to know if when you were living with your parents and studying your ass off, did you have a part-time job, money saved, or did you have neither?
I had part-time jobs. I'd work at coffee shops. Sometimes, mostly it's been working at coffee shops, the jobs that I had. Jobs where I didn't have to think. I intentionally took jobs where I didn't have to use my brain. I just do what I was told, and I could devote the rest of me to drawing. It was horrible. I mean, it's horrible when you're working those kinds of jobs. You have to fucking go on autopilot. Like, you just switch off, and you become a robot. But I feel like I couldn't afford the mental investment. I had to take shit-ass jobs, and that's all I wanted. And there are plenty of them, just to get some income. But I actually loved working at coffee shops, and that's where I met a lot of the people who played role-playing games. I had worked at the coffee shop, and I got in with them, and that's how really I got reintroduced to art again. Because when I moved in with my folks down from Boston, and when I was getting sober, I had completely forgotten about gaming and D&D and all that stuff, which I fucking loved. But But as I got older, that stuff becomes less cooler when you hit your teens. It's about being fucking cool and girls and all that crap, all that stupid vapid shit. Mm-hmm. And I got totally caught up in that. And but after I got out of all that, and that's how I met the guys. They were into gaming. They played role-playing games. Like, man, I remember doing that. I want to do that again. And that's how got the whole ball rolling again. So it's because the friends that I met who decided to be themselves and instead of trying to be something else, I got reintroduced to me, and that's how I got back into it. And but it was miserable keeping those shitty jobs. And you got to do that, man. Like God bless any of you who got to do that. Work a shit job and come home at night and draw. It is miserable. It hurts. It's fucking miserable. But stay with it. Please stay with it. And contact me if you get down. Go to my page, send me a note, and I'll get back to you. It's a miserable place to be. Needed any kind of anything. I go for I go on vapors doing that, and it's a tough way to live. So if you want to contact me, please do.
It's very nice of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
gotta be nice.
Do we just want to wrap this up now? It's been like 4 hours.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, my voice is starting to give out too. That's another thing I want to. My voice gives out after a certain amount of time. Just from I abused vodka and cigarettes so badly that I got these fucking cysts in the back of my throat. So it makes talking for a while. So yeah, if you're doing that shit, if you're getting high and getting loaded all the time and trying to do this, you're kidding yourself. You're kidding yourself. Make the choice. Just don't keep picking up the shit and thinking that you'll get to it tomorrow. Because you won't. I've been there and done that. I bought the T-shirt.
Yeah.
Trust me. Put it down.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out so long, man.
Yeah, man, it's been great.
Hey, man, it was great. I'm glad I got to. I'm grateful that people want to ask questions and give a shit. About what I do, man. It's all a blessing. I'm extremely grateful, and it really means a lot to me to have me on the show and be able to talk to you guys, man. It's why I do it. Being a busy dad and pumping out as much art as I can, I don't get to do it as much as I would love to, but I can't tell you how much it means. It means a lot just to be needed and not needed, but just be desired by you guys. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we love you.
All right, guys. Thanks to Brad, and congratulations to Sam. And I'll see you guys.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 10, the usual time, for the start of the second month.
Yep. This coming month, it's the next month. You have a whole fucking month to work your ass off and become the next Goldenboy.
You get 30 whole days.
Guys.
You get 30 whole days. So study your asses off. I'll see you all later.
Good luck to you guys.
Farewell.
Always believe in the soul.